Live Nation 25 for the fastest digital news.
Particularly targeted at the marginalized groups within the political parties, persons with disabilities, youth, and women. And I think those resolutions will be shared with you, but maybe just to emphasize a few things that came up in the meeting was on the issue of ensuring that the nomination processes in various political parties is made more accountable, fair, and transparent, so that the youth, the genuine youth, and the genuine PWDs and women are able to access the nomination opportunities in various political parties.
All right.
Other matters that came up was the issue of delay in reconstituting the IEBC. You know that IEBC is very critical to our democracy, and currently the country is facing a constitutional crisis in the absence of IEBC. You know that there are various by-elections at various levels which have not been held across the country by NISA and other places, and that also affects the right of representation of these various communities who are not now represented in the county assembly and in parliament, and it is a matter of concern, and we called upon the judiciary to take judicial notice of this issue and be able to help this country to progress. You know, there is a case that has stopped the setting up of the selection panel that will now embark on the process of recruiting the commissioners. So we called upon the judiciary to take judicial notice and remove this bottleneck so that we can have a selection committee, and the selection committee can now quickly come up with a commission that will now undertake the various roles, including the constitutional role, which is now beyond the timelines in the Constitution, the issue of delimitation of boundaries, the issue of preparation towards the election. We are behind schedule, and many other things. The meeting also took cognizance of the efforts that are being made to amend the various pieces of legislation, the amendments to the Political Parties Act, so that to reform the office of the Registrar of Political Parties and have it managed as an independent commission, where the commissioners will be drawn from the majority party, minority party, and small parties under PPLC. We also took notice of the amendments to the Election Act to allow the enhancement of representation of persons with disability to at least 5% of those who are nominated. That means the persons with disability will be will constitute 5% of all those nominated at the county assembly and 5% of all those nominated in the National Assembly and the Senate.
All right.
We also were concerned about the oversight role of Parliament, and we echoed the sentiments made by the ODM leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, that it is a high time that members of the National Assembly were made to focus on the constitutional role of oversight, legislation, and representation. The engagement in managing devolved funds, it's not helping the primary role of Parliament. Primary role of Parliament is oversight, legislation, and representation. So there are a host of other things. I'm sure the organizers are going to share the resolutions with you so that you can engage them further on that.
Okay, allow me two questions only. Yes. One is on the issue of IEBC.
I want to say it very clearly that ODM is not in government. And I think you need to get that very, very clearly. We do not have a coalition agreement with Kenya Kwanza. That must be very clear. And if you took your time, you could even search at the Register of Political Parties to see whether there is any coalition agreement or not. The individuals or our members who joined the government, they joined the government as individuals. And they had to resign from their positions in the party. You remember Honorable Mbadi was the chairperson of the party. Honorable Paranya and Joho were deputy party leaders. And Honorable Upio Andai was the Secretary for Political Affairs. And Honorable Askul was a member of the National Election Coordinating Committee. They had to resign from those positions and join the government in their individual capacities. So when they speak, they don't speak for the party. The party has two spokespersons, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, the party leader, and Honorable Edwin Sifuna, the Secretary General of the party. Those are the two people authorized to speak on behalf of the party, unless they are given express authority by the party leadership to speak for the party. Then that will be the party position. So I do not want to comment further about what they said, but just to say, if they spoke anything, they spoke in that manner as in their individual capacities. They have the freedom of expression. They can say what they have to say, and they will be judged with by Kenyans differently. We as a party, we are a very structured party. We have structures in place, and when we release communication, that communication comes from the party under the party letterhead. So I do not want to go into what they said. They spoke as individuals, and you need to go and ask them why they were speaking like that.
The way you bring it ODM. Now we want to think we stood there as ODM. This was about party.
Namba yako nitumie hiyo video 07 852 314 Jeff nitumie tu saa hii kama utaanza
Very clear. We have been very clear as ODM that it is important to have IEBC in place. Remember, our party led nationwide demonstration. And one of the issues that we were engaging in those nationwide demonstrations was the issue of electoral justice. And electoral justice is a right that IEBC is at the center of its execution. And therefore, it is in our interest to have an IEBC in place. We are also cognizant of the fact that there are a number of legislation, there are a number of preparations that needs to be done, including the most important one, the delimitation of boundaries, which, as I said, it is now outside the constitutional timelines that are given in the Constitution. So we, as a party, ODM, we continue to insist that we need to have an IEBC in place. And we are asking judiciary not to be the barrier towards having an IEBC in place.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Lastly, what is your view about...
In my private capacity, I'm handling a matter where my client is challenging the delays in the composition of the IEBC because it has had an implication in terms of representation in constituencies where MPs have either passed on or vacancies have arisen. So it is it's an issue of concern to everybody, including my party leader. I know he's very keen to have the issue of IEBC resolved as soon as possible. However, the Constitution doesn't enable him in any way to interfere with the judicial process. He cannot encroach the mandates of other organs of government. So just like every one of us, he has to sit down and await the outcome of the court.
So in short, you're saying the president is tied?
His hands are absolutely tied because he can't ride roughshod over the judiciary and tell them, determine this matter, make the decision in this way. The judiciary is independent. So as long as we pay fidelity to the separation of powers doctrine, then it means each and every arm of government must be left to do its business without any other encroachment from other arms. So the president, if he is to follow the constitution, he cannot direct the judiciary to make a decision or deal with matters in one way or the other, because that's what the constitution provides. So in this case, I believe his hands are absolutely tied up to the point where the judiciary would have made a determination and set the paths that would be followed.
All right, finally, how does he deal with the political blames that then come with his silence and his being tied?
Well, there's nothing much he can do, because if he talks too much on the issue again, then people will say that he has a vested interest, which I don't think he has. He has to wait, just like several of us, when matters are in court, they are sub judice. We cannot talk about them. If the president was to attempt to make commentaries on that matter that's pending in court, then he will be again going against the constitution. So the onus is on those blaming him to stop doing so, because he's unworthy of blame.
All right.
Wonderful.